Hey guys, welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. I am in the process right now of me about to can ground beef. I'm right now cleaning things up in the kitchen. So let's talk about the steps in this. It's going to be easy peasy, lemon squeezy, down to the basics. Let's get to it. Stay tuned. Okay guys, welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. And like I said, I am in a mad rush to get a bunch of quick canning done and get some things processed, put away, put in the dehydrator, put in the freezer. So I'm just having to work very quickly this afternoon to get a bunch of things done. Now, when we set up to do a lot of videos in the kitchen, you have this pressure to be like HGTV. I always joke, I love HGTV. I ain't making fun of you, I swear. I'm just saying, clearly, at least I would have a backsplash finished if I was on HGTV. That's a fall project. I can't think about it. But what we got to do, guys, is we got to get all these tomatoes done and the meat in the refrigerator done and sausage and all of these things need to be done in the next couple of days. And I know you've been begging for videos. What is what, and the very basics. So that's what we're going to focus on. If you are going to be canning ground beef, guys, honestly, I know it's pressure canning, and we'll talk about that, but it's very, very easy, so don't let it intimidate you. But that's what we're going to start with today. Okay. It's a little bit better, isn't it? Just a little bit. So the first thing that you need to know about canning is whatever area that you're going to be canning in, it doesn't have to look like, Martha Stewart, bless her heart, I love her. But you do need to clean it. So I've gone through and I have strategically taken things off, put things away, loaded the dishwasher, cleaned the sink, wiping things down. Fresh rags. I use a lot of dish rags, fresh, clean dish rags. Through one little canning process, I can go through 6 or 7 of them, depending on, because I like to wipe things down, clean things up, and then when I'm done, bye-bye. Now, here's the thing we want to talk about, because this video is not, if you've been canning for 25 years, please hang with me. We'll have some fun, or who knows what I'll say. But I have a ton of people that are requesting video and talking through points and whatnot on canning, how to can. So this video is for them, okay? And maybe you can add something at the bottom or whatever. This is for the newbie doobies. Now, so let's go through a few quick points and then we'll get started. Okay, there's going to be 2 main types of jars that you're probably going to use. The most common sizes is going to be your pint jars and then your quarts. For meat, most of my meats I like to do, because I know how I cook and how I do recipes, blah, blah, blah. So I like to use pint jars. Now you can see here, see how that's kind of, boy, that'd be a cat head biscuit and a half now, wouldn't it? See that? It's kind of large. This is your wide mouth, okay? So for you, if you're new at this, understand there is a difference between the wide mouth and now we have the cutie tootie regular mouth. Looks more like, cute and you sip your tea out of and stuff like that. Now for meat or whatever, I don't care which one I use. I use whatever I've got because it's just storing meats. If I do something like pickled okra or dilly beans and things like that, I prefer a wide mouth jar. If I had my way, everything would be wide mouth. Kind of matches me, being a big old fat mouth, wide mouth girl. Always something to say. But so this is what I'm going to be using because this is what I have, but I want to show you the difference. So this is your jar. You're also going to have your lid. This is what came with it. I bought these in boxes, completed sets, okay? It's a set of 12. So this is your canning lid, okay? Okie dokie artichoke, capiche. And then this is your ring. If you like it, you should put a ring on it. And we like this, so we're going to put a ring on it. The ring is what holds the lid in place during the canning process, whether it's water bath or pressure. These are kind of married. They're kind of cute, I love you. I love you. Okay? But they do go through a divorce period after. We'll talk about that later. So that's the very basics of what we're going to be doing. Now, I am not going to be using, let's talk about it in one clip here. I'm not going to be using a water bath. Water bath is only that in itself, okay? It's not going to be using any pressure or pressure gauges or anything like that, okay? It's literally putting the contents that are in the jars with the lid and the ring, following those directions to whatever that is, and putting it in the water bath. They will be submerged into the hot boiling water, okay? And you're going to put the lid on, and they're going to water bath. You need 1 inch of water on top of those lids. We're not doing this right now. We're going to be using under pressure. Because why? What is the difference? What do you do in terms of difference between the water bath and pressure canning? Okay, we're going to keep this really simple, stupid. I tell most people when they are starting to can, they should try working with a water bath. It's easier. It takes typically less time in terms of the process. People don't get intimidated, etc., etc., etc. But you cannot water bath everything. Now, I know your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, she water bathed her beans in a water bath, you know, and she did it for 3 hours and 57 minutes, and you have all of her instructions written in a Bible. I hear all this all the time, and I have all these things too. My mammas did the same thing. I'm just saying we've gotten a little bit better in terms of understanding safer ways to preserve foods. So if you're going to water bath something, you need to do something that's high acidic, like tomatoes, your jams, your jellies, your butters. If you pickle anything, if you pickle possum meat, if you pickle anything, you're going to put it in the water bath, okay? Simple, stupid. Now today, we're going to be doing meats. Now if I'm going to be doing corn or certain soups, beans, any of my meats, sausage, hamburger, chicken, etc., which I've got right here, then I'm going to be using the pressure canner because it is low acidity, okay? So even if you make a vegetable soup, and you have to sit there and go, no, wait a minute, it's got the main base of that vegetable soup has a ton of tomatoes in it, so I can water bath it. No, sister, if you put corn in it, if you put potatoes in it, if you decide to make it into a delicious hamburger soup, you got to go back, take it higher, and go pressure. Got it? I hope so. Okay, from my experience, and this is not 100%, foolproof. So I've got 2.46 pounds of ham. This is just 80-20. You do whatever meat you want. I don't like to buy the tubes. I like to see the meat. Personal preference. I'll pay a little bit more for that because I've seen Funky Cold Medina before. Don't need it in my canning jars. So this is roughly 2.5 pounds and a little less than 2.5 pounds. So you're looking at almost 5 full pounds of meat. From my past experiences, that should give me at least 1 pound roughly per jar, give or take, which is easily going to give me 5. I'm going to go ahead and try to get 6, which what that means is if I get 5 and they look good and that's all I get, then I've hit my goal. But I'm going to prepare 6 jars just in case there's extra. And if there is extra, I can always set it aside for tonight's dinner or tomorrow's lunch, put it in the freezer. Don't sweat the small stuff, people. Okay, I'm working with new jars, but it doesn't matter if I'm working with new jars. They can be jars that are setting up in the cabinet. I like to freshly wash them. Also, I try to work with the timing of, you want them hot. You want them really, really warm. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my jars, and I'm going to take my rings, and I'm going to put them in the dishwasher. I'm going to wash them, sterilize them, and get them hot as fire, baby. Let's go. Okay, so the dishwasher has started. Kind of know how long that takes. You want that process to finish up pretty good and go through the process of washing and rinsing and keeping them hot, which means we have to now get going with what we're going to be cooking. You cook your meat, but we'll get to that in just a second. This is the method that I use. There's different methods, but this is the one that I use. If I'm going to be canning meats, I like to cook it. My dishwasher just turned on. That's what you heard. See? So I like to cook my meats, whether it's the sausage or the ground beef or the chicken, I like to cook it about halfway through. You want to brown the meat, but listen to me. There's a couple of things. You can go online on Amazon. You can go in stores and you can buy some of these pieces separate. You don't have to have all of them. Some of them go, I don't use that. I use the back of a spoon and a fish hook, you know, whatever y'all want to do. But I'm telling the new people, for very little money, you can buy these little kits and you can get them most anywhere, okay? Online, Amazon, Walmart. You can go to like Bed Bath and Beyond and all that stuff. You can buy Rural King. You know, wherever a canning section is, you can typically still find most of these things, but if you buy a kit, it's going to come together. So you're going to get this little like funnel thing. I use them for everything. I have like 4 of them, okay? Use them for canning especially, but for seed saving, anytime you're using anything that you need to funnel into a jar, these are very, very nice because they fit great into the jars. Now, what's this little doohickey? It looks like something off Inspector Gadget. This is to pick up your lids. Okay, so it keeps you from having to touch things as much. Very handy dandy, usually comes in one of the little kits. Then you have this item right here, which is going to help you with measuring how much headspace you have in there. I've gotten to where I just kind of know, and that will happen. But also what it does is it allows you to bring the air bubbles up. Before you put those lids on, you'll see me, if I don't forget to film it, we're going to be taking this down in there and we will push back and forth and it'll push the air bubbles up, and then I will know if I need to add more broth or anything to that because you're getting the air out. And then last but not least, I had to buy a new one of these the other day. I call it the claw. This is very important. It keeps you from getting burned, okay? Because you're going to be moving the jars around, putting the jars in hot water, taking them out of hot water, all of this stuff, moving them around so they can cool and make sure they seal to the next day. Don't do that with your bare hands, y'all, okay? Really. I mean, for little money, this is a safety feature really more than anything. It's pretty important. Okay, so I don't have the canner going yet because I don't have to, but here's what I'm going to be doing. I have to cook the meat. So I'm going to take a little less than 5 pounds here of the ground beef, and I'm going to put it in a big stock pot. It's not that big, but big enough. And I'm going to brown the meat. I'm not going to, cook it all the way through. The goal is to take the pink off, pretty much. Brown the meat. At the same time, now I'm going to be using another smaller pot here, and I'm going to have it boil down a bunch of water because that's what I'm going to be putting over my meat in the canning jar when we get to that point. So I'm going to get them going. This side right here, which is my bigger eye, is where my canner is going to be sitting. So I want to get my meat done and off of there while I keep my water, which is going to be boiling, started and going because I'm going to need it to be very hot and continue to stay hot. So you figure that out as well. And last but not least, yes, I am canning. Yes, I am canning on a flat surface. A lot of people have been asking about that and have had a lot of comments about that on my Facebook. My stove is new, okay? And it is rated to be canned on. You need to call the company. If you have that, you need to call the company, Google it, and look it up to see if your stove is rated for that. You do what you want. If you want to go for it, that's your business. Prior to this, I had never pressure canned on a smooth surface. I'd done a little bit of water bathing, not this one, but never pressure can. And I'm waiting on my wood stove to be installed. I was like, it's sitting in the garage. She's just looking at me, so pitiful. But anyway, it wouldn't matter. I mean, it's hot. I wouldn't be firing it up anyway, and I want to get this done. My point is do your homework and do your due diligence on checking out what you should do. And we're very careful. I do not double stack. Some people do. That's okay. That's their business. But do note that even if you can on the smooth surface stovetop, be a little easy with it. Smart. Okay, can you see what I'm doing? All I'm doing is literally browning it, okay? Literally browning it, nothing major, and then I'm going to drain off most of the fat. I mean, it's still gonna have a little fat in it. I'm just gonna drain it off. Some folks take that and do something else with it. I like to just put boiling water. I like to leave a little fat in there and then just put hot boiling water in on it once I pack the jars, okay? So that's what we're gonna do. Now let me show you something else. A lot of y'all ask about books. Now the book that I'm gonna be using today is literally the All-American Canner book. It comes with the canner because the pressure canner that I prefer to use and have had for several years and love is the All-American Canner. It's the 921. For me, it seems to be the biggest that I can work with as far as lifting. You can still double stack. If you go bigger than that, they become beasts. So I'm just letting you know that. But I like to go by what they recommend with that canner. So you're looking at your ground or chopped meat right here on this page, on page 32. And you're gonna be, the style is hot packing, okay? And then you're gonna do pints at 75 minutes, okay? So that'll change at 10 pounds of pressure. Now another book I wanna show you. Honey, this is at Walmart. Unless your Walmart is completely ravaged most of the time in the canning section, which ours can be most of the time, but I did get another one of these copies so I could make videos with it for you, a new one. But $8.47. If you are starting to can, and you're not going to start with, especially not starting with pressure canning like we are doing today, which it's easy, don't get stressed. But for water bath, if you're going to do tomatoes, apple butter's coming up, y'all, anything like that, simple. This is a great book. Just Google, look online. Ball is the end-all in the canning situation, so you're going to find great books. There's a lot of different independent books on that as well. So look it up and, Google it online. I tell people all the time, just Google it. There's so much online now. And, always refer back to me, and I'll help you out when I can, so let me know. But that's a great book. It is online, but look, $8.47. Walmart, check it out. Okie dokie. Hot browned meat, simply pouring it in through the colander, draining it. The water's boiling on the stove. My jars are just about done. They've been processing. So I'm going to take them out and rinse them so they're good to go. Check them out and we should be good to go. Okay, we got to move fast. So with the All-American Canner, you want to take some olive oil and you want to put it on the inside of the rim here where it kind of bevels down right here because you don't have a rubber seal gasket thingamabobber. So you've got to put that on there. So that's first things first. I got to do that before I turn this on to get it really, really hot. Then I'm going to put in about 2 to 3 inches of water into the actual canner. I always try to do about 3 inches of water. And then you're going to put your actual rack into the canner, okay? So this is what your jars are going to be sitting on. This canner comes with 2 of these. That's how you double stack. So we've got to get this set up real quick. The meat's ready to go. Everything is still hot and going. What's it? So we have it down to a science with these little 1-gallon pitchers. We've used them to fill up the canner, and we have figured out that about 3 of these, James has got it down to a science and helped me out. This will give us about 3 inches of water. So 1, 2, 3, here we go. Okay, so we've got the water in, we've done the edge. Now I'm going to put the rack in. And let me tell you, it does not take long for this to start boiling and getting hot. So once you get this set to move, you better start rocking and rolling. Okay, we're getting this heated up. I obviously don't have the lid on yet. My jars have come out of the hot rinsed dishwasher, ready to fill. The meat is still here, hot, ready to go. I like to be old-fashioned, and I put my lids in really hot water. Some of the newer lids over the past recent years, people will tell you don't have to do that. I'm in the habit of doing this a long time, so I do. Got everything kind of in the same idea of everything's warm, so it doesn't get a shock and awe treatment over here. So now let's fill it up, 1 inch headspace. Let's go. So I was able to get 6 pints One is a little bit smaller. Actually, two in the front are just a little bit smaller, but I just went ahead and went for it. So we've got roughly 6 pints here. So some of them are a little bit bigger than others, but they're right where we need to be, so we're going to go with it. So just know roughly a little bit less, in the ballpark kind of about a pound per pint. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is what I was talking about. You move it around a little bit, take out some of the air bubbles. It also shows if you need to put a little bit more of your liquid in. Does that make sense? It gives more space for things to shift around and move down, okay? So this is an important step. If you forget, which I have forgotten before too, don't stress it, don't sweat the small stuff, people. But it is a nice little thing to do. Now, once we complete this here in just a second, and I do it 2 or 3 times each one, what I will do is get Lord, Tara, find it. You're going to take a clean rag. So I'm on my 4th rag already here in terms of how many dish towels or whatever I use. See those bubbles coming up? I will wipe the rims. You can use paper towel, clean dish rag, whatever. Okay, but you're going to want to clean the rims. Very simple. You can see even after we have drained or whatever, if there's still fat content in there. Remember, guys, honey, the flavor is in the fat. All right, let's get this cleaned up. Yep. You hear it bubbling over here? So then I'm simply going to take my lids with my inspector gadget thing here and put it right on top. That way I don't touch it. I do try to wash my hands in between every step. See, usually... Gosh, Lord help me. Okay, so we set the jars. We put our lids on. And then we've put the rings on finger tight, okay? So now we're going to take them and we're going to be placing them inside the bottom of the canner, okay? And then we're going to adjust it, set it for 10 pounds of pressure when it eventually gets going, but it's going to cook for 75 minutes. It's going to pressure can for 75 minutes. We'll show you along the way. I can do this. It's not a difficult thing to do, but James is really good at setting the canner for me, so he helps me out, and he helps me out with lifting. You don't want to scoot the canner on the eye. That's what we were talking about before. So after it cools, it's time to be lifted. It's better to lift it up as opposed to scooting it around. So it's really hot. It's getting hot. And so what we're doing is setting it, and we're going to be eyeballing it as far as making it even across the top of the lid there. Very simple. And then we're going to let it heat up some more. And then once you start seeing steam come up, we'll put the actual weight on, and we're going to do 10 pounds of pressure. And at that point, what we will do is let it start rocking, and then we will pull it back to where you've got that good smooth rattle, like several times a minute, but not just hardcore going all the time. And at that point, when it gets to that time frame in terms of just that several jiggles every minute or so, got to jiggle with it, that is when we will set the timer at that point. Okay, the timer's gone off. Yes, I changed shirts, had to go do the barn. Come back and cleaned up. But the timer has just gone off, okay? And this is kind of just cooling down. I'm going to let it cool, and when it's really simmered down now, we will take off the actual weight. You'll see steam come out, so you need to be prepared for that. And then once that's done and it sits and cools some more, then we'll take the lid off. Could take a while, so just letting you know. Okay, so it's still hot, but it has cooled down. The pressure is out, so we're gonna open it. You're gonna open it away from your face. So he's twisting it. We're gonna open it up. See, so you want to open it away from your face. All right, what do we got? Woo! Okay, so you can see. Let me have that, darling. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to lift it straight up just a little bit so you can see what it's looking like. It is still really rocking and rolling inside the jars. I'm going to leave it in the water. I don't just pull them out because that's going to go from one extreme temperature to another. So now I'm just going to let them rest. Let them rest some more, and then once they cool down some more, we'll take them out and set them on the counter where I will let them sit for at least 12 to 24 hours before I do anything really to them as far as taking rings off or marking them, okay? So that's where we're at the moment. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. It is time to hit the hay. I'm tired. So anyway, this is what it's going to look like. We did an up-close shot. They're still really hot. They have all sealed. And I do want to add one little side note that I have not said throughout this whole bit, but some of you may ask or you need to know. A lot of times you can add salt to your jars. If it's a pint jar, you will add about half a teaspoon. If it's a quart or so, you can add at least one or so. It just depends on what you want to do. I didn't do that this time. 2 reasons. It's really not necessary. You can add things and add spices and whatnot when you actually open it to use in recipes or whatever. And I'll be honest with you, I forgot. I'm tired. But this is how we get it done. Stay very busy, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. We'll have more canning videos on the way, and they're just simple and basic, and we're just working through every single day. That's how you build your pantry. You don't have to do a lot at once, but you have to do it a little bit at a time and stay consistent. We'll see you on the next video.